Hey there, good morning, good evening, good afternoon. This is Talking to Myself, the part of the day where I talk to myself about things that I was thinking the night before. Shout out, of course, to all 2,000 of you who are subscribed. Thank you again for subscribing. So now that we're at 2,000, that means the 2,000 subscriber giveaway now begins, and anyone can win. But I'm changing it up, and I'm actually giving away 2 different items. Now, instead of just one, on December 11th, I'll be drawing 2 names to be able to tell you exactly who won that, and I'll get your information. They will have 24 hours to DM me on Instagram or through my email address to tell me, hey, this is me, I want it, and to verify who they are. And if they don't, I'll be redrawing again on December 12th, and every day until I get it, you will see it on my community tab if they don't respond to the video on December 11th at first. So now that we're past that, if you want to know exactly what that entails, how you enter to win, and what you can win now, go ahead and look in the description below. You're gonna find all the timestamps in this video. I'm gonna timestamp that part in case you don't wanna stay. Listen, I don't care who the hell wins this thing, to be honest with you, and I'm not gonna hold you hostage. So if you're interested in winning, go check that out. Doesn't matter if this is your first time watching me, I'd be happy to give you some free stuff. So in this video, we're gonna get directly to it. It's talking about the Leica Q2 and exactly how my first full-time foray into the Leica system, instead of using them for quick shooting sessions, whether it's street photography, portraits, and rentals, because I wanted to know exactly what the hype was about. And so I'm gonna be talking about the Leica Q, my experience with it, comparing it a little bit to my Fujifilm experience. These are 2 systems that always get compared, and I don't like that they get compared because it's very unfair to one of the systems, and it's unfair to the Leica system because the bodies that always get compared to the X bodies from Fujifilm are always the Q and the M bodies, and it's unfair because Leica does not have what Fujifilm has, which is dual card slots, weather sealing in all their bodies. It doesn't have the autofocus. It doesn't have a lot of things that people see as professional, and even more, this is maybe like 1/5 the price, brand new. If this was the XT3 was brand new, it's 1/5 the price of exactly what an M body would be. And when you take that into account, to me, that just does nothing but show you that Leica wouldn't be worth it. But to some people, this thing's worth it. Now, full discretion, this is my Leica Q. I purchased this myself. It is not the newest generation of Leica, and so some things that I mentioned today won't be prevalent in the Q2, but I will say that a lot of the things that I'm going to mention are things that are carried over to Leica in other parts of the Leica system. So when it comes to this camera, there's a lot of things that are quirks that, man, I do not like. And I'm just going to be 100% honest with you. There are quite a few things that I am not jiving with on this body, and I've talked to my buddies, and I believe it's prevalent through all Leica systems. I'm going to start with that so I can talk to you about the things that I like about it. First thing to mention right off the bat, this is not a comfortable camera to hold because I have large fingers. If you look the way that my hand is gripping, does that look like I'm having a good time holding this thing? It does not. I even have a thumb grip on the back. The guy who I bought it from actually sent that to me, and yeah, it's not too fantastic. So kind of an uncomfortable camera if you have larger hands. My boy Leica Lee, he has the same issue where it's not the most comfortable thing for him, and I believe he's getting a thumb grip for his M body, and it does help out a little bit, that thumb grip. I tried it with and without, but it's still, maybe the hand grip part is what's needed for me. Another thing that I don't like is when is this control button up top, and it really affects me when I'm shooting street or dock work, and I can see it as being an issue. When it comes to the switch right here, which is the on-off button, I have my off, I have single focus or single shot, and then I have a continuous shooting. Now I can change it back and forth, and it's nice, but here's the issue I'm having. When I'm on the street and I want to turn it on and come from my hip up to my face, if I was to have it off, or if I'm in a documentary situation and I want to come right up to my face, I can't turn it on like I would a regular camera with my thumb, with my hand the way it's positioned right now with my thumb at the back. I can't turn it on from swiping at the front. I have to come over the top a little bit to be able to get it, and it's that difficult. All the way I do, it's that difficult. And then I have a weird grip at that point. I don't know if you can see this, but it's like my thumb's carried over the top, and now my hand is on the screen. So it's not the most ideal thing. This is a 2-hand operating camera, and even more, even whenever I just turned it on like that and was able to flip it with one hand, it went all the way to continuous. I don't want it to be in continuous, I want it to be in single shot. It'll turn off with one hand, but again, I have to restructure my hand grip. I'm not liking that. whatsoever. I get it. It's supposed to be simple and stuff, and I'm sure it's supposed to be an intentional way of turning it on, like they want you to be intentional. I don't need intentional. If you're going to focus, if the focus group for this is going to be street photography, I don't need intentional. I need quick, and I need something that's going to perform. This is going to bother me, and it does bother me. The other thing that I don't like is the fact that because this is a system that is fixed lens, there's an issue with dust prevalent in the lens. Now, not in this copy, thank God, but I've already had to gaff tape here and here in the back, but you hear stories about people selling their Leica Q, and there's dust in the lens, and this costs a lot of money to have to get it fixed up. Another thing that I'm not really having a good time with this camera with is this is the worst menu system I've ever ran into. Now, people will say Leica's menu system is great, it's amazing, it's very, very simple. There's a point between being simple and being intuitive versus being plainly just a jerk about life. Honestly, that's the way I feel about it. It's rudimentary to the point of to where it holds you back. Let me give you an example. When you're turning on this Leica system, one issue that I have is I can't map every single button here. There's a button right here, these buttons right here. I can't map these things all the way that I want to be. I would love to be able to map this button right here to, let's say, turn on OIS or something or the other. I can't. I can only map it to a few things. Right now, it's mapped to a crop mode because you can shoot this 28 and it'll crop your JPEG at either you can shoot a full 24 megapixel resolution, or it'll do 16 or 7, I believe, going to 35 and 50 millimeter. But again, it's still a 28 millimeter lens, so you're still getting 28 millimeter property. So it doesn't make any sense because it does that for the JPEG, but you're still getting the full RAW. So in my book, it doesn't make any sense to have that feature, but I can't use this for something like OIS, which this lens is optically stabilized, which even though it's not the best stabilization, it does show that it's a benefit, especially holding at 1/30th and 1/15th. But even that, with function button, I can only assign certain things. I can't reassign the ISO button to something else. I can't reassign these dials right here. And you may be thinking, well, it's because it's supposed to be simple and Leica gives you just what you need. That's not just what I need. People are saying that this body is fantastic for so many things. You can use Leica other than a hobbyist or street photography. I'm having a hard time with even doing street because I have to go into menus and press extra buttons and I have to look at the back screen. I don't want to look at the back screen. That's not great. This wheel right here, instead of being able to assign it to auto, I get exposure compensation and I can control shutter speed or have it off. Because anytime that I put it on auto or exposure compensation does not work whatsoever. If I push up exposure compensation, even if my ISO is set at 400 only and I don't have my shutter speed at auto, or I have my shutter speed at auto, guess what it does? It doesn't raise it. It just keeps it at perfect exposure. It makes no sense. If I want to overexpose, it's not overexposing. If I want to underexpose, it's not underexposing. I get the same exposures every single time, and I've tested this out over and over again. Even more, another thing that I don't like about what's going on is, let's go to that menu system and talk about this. This menu system, sure, it seems like a great idea, but you do your first click and you're right here and you get to a personal menu and you can put certain things that you want in there. I've got digital zoom, focus, AF mode, OIS, photo file format, JPEG settings if I want to shoot in monochrome or if I want to shoot more saturated, less saturated. I can format a card, etc. But I can only have 8 things in there. I can't add more, so you're very, very limited. If I press menu again, then I get into this full main menu, but the issue with this full main menu is I have to scroll all the way through to find what I have. There's no quick little tabs to move over. And this is one thing that I love about the Fujifilm system and all other systems. Honestly, I have to go through 5 tabs hoping to remember something that I haven't used in a while because I have everything in my main function. And if all they had to do was just make a tab to where I could have, you know, my image quality in one, my autofocus in another tab, my video settings in one last tab, and then a wrench that has all of my random stuff for electronic software, copyright parts, format, etc. That would make it so much easier instead of me going through 5 pages. Again, when I'm on the fly and shooting on the street or shooting dock work and I have to make a change because of something I didn't foresee, why am I having to go into a menu system to do this? That doesn't help me out. And you may be saying, you know what, that's just the Leica way, etc., etc. Well, listen, here's the thing. If this is going to be the price of a DSLR or a mirrorless camera like the R5, like the Z9, if this is going to be 2 times the price brand new than the XH2 will be, which has a 40 megapixel backside illuminated stack sensor, then I want it to do more, because let me tell you right now, The lens is fantastic and I can't deny that, but this is a regular ass sensor. There's nothing to this sensor. Yes, I get it. Leica, you know, at one point had their own proprietary sensors, but guess what? Since they're not getting the CCD sensor developed by Kodak anymore, because their M9 and M8 tanked in that regard, because you had to have the IR and the UV cut filter on there, or else it would start to deteriorate the sensor and you would start having issues with your images. They are now having sensors made by CMOSs, which is a regular CMOS sensor. And let me tell you guys something, when you put a Bayer filter array on a regular CMOS sensor, you can calibrate the color, but you can't change the way that light is taken in, which is one thing that I think people are really just, when you buy a Leica and you hear things, I feel like a lot of people are taking hearsay into the Leica system instead of researching it. You're not getting filmic image looks from anything past the Type 240, 262, the M10, etc., the Leica Q and the Leica Q2. You're not. Even in their CL line and the T line, you're not getting that. You're getting a regular ass image, but you have glass that has a different quality to it, and you're getting a more red tuned image because of color calibration. Keep that in mind. There is only one sensor now on the market that is actually different in all regards from every other sensor, and that is the Fujifilm X-Trans sensor that is in their APS-C, their medium format. This is the only thing that's different. And I'm not praising this because it's different, because sometimes it's a pain in the ass. But at the same time, I'm being objective as a now Leica owner. And mind you, this is not the first Leica I've used. This is not the first Leica I've shot with. Let's get that out of the way. But when it comes to the performance and the price compared to where this is at on a scale of this, or even an R5 or even an R3 or A7 III and things like this, this is so far behind. But with all that being said, there are some great things with it. Now, this is an uncomfortable camera, I will say again, and it reminds me nothing of the most comfortable camera I've ever had in my hand, which is the SL line of cameras from Leica. Hands down, so far, the most comfortable cameras I've ever held. Way pricey, especially the lenses, and I would definitely go for Sigma if you're ever interested in that. But God, this one thing about this camera is it's not the weight, it's not the build. Listen, I don't care about what you use to build it, or if you built it handmade. That's on your fault as a manufacturing company for having to pay extra in labor because you want to be cute. But what I will say about this is the size and the weight of this camera is just damn perfect. I already told you right now, when it comes to the X-T3, this is nearly identical completely in size to the X-T3. So if you own an X-T3 body, you have the same size body of the Leica Q. Now the Leica Q is just barely, probably about 1/3 of an inch in width shorter than the X-T3, and that's the main difference. There's also no grip on the X-T3, but everywhere else it's the exact same width as the Leica Q. Where it's really kicking ass too, though, is if I take off this lens hood, it is half the size almost, or probably 2/3 the size of the 18mm 1.4 from Fujifilm. That is fantastic. This is a small, compact camera system, and I really love that. The fact they're able to fit such an amazing lens. Mind you, this lens right here, this Summilux, if it was just being sold alone, it wasn't attached to this body, it would be anywhere from $6,000 to $8,000 for a 1.4 Summilux. This 1.7 lens is amazing. It is fantastic. I like this lens. Now, you guys are probably going to be mad at me. I've never shot this lens before below 2.8. I haven't. And I know some people are going to think that's a waste of money. That's stupid. That's so dumb. It's whatever. What else are you going to use this lens for? What are you using 28mm lenses for? Who's shooting portraits on 28mm and 24mm? I really want to know that. I love 28mm. This is my favorite focal length. Between this and 50mm of all time. And so it's amazing that they're able to fit that in such a small body. Not only that, the weight when compared to the X-T3, this is actually a little bit lighter than the X-T3 in my hands, with this small 35mm f2. Now, to give you an example, if I take this vented hood off a 35mm f2 and on the X-T3, and I take off this lens hood on the Q, they are very similar, almost identical in length when it comes to the front. So fantastic job for that. I just dropped this. So fantastic job to Leica and their developers on that. I'm not gonna pretend like that's not a pretty nice feat, especially when this is so carryable. But the biggest thing about this Leica, the best thing about it, and the thing that's actually the saving grace with it with me still, because I've been getting frustrated because those quirks have done a lot to me, The sensor is regular. It's a 24 megapixel CMOS sensor. There's nothing special about it. It's tuned to have really bright reds. I'm still getting used to the look. I'm having to create presets to actually match the way that I edit already. So I'm having to have a separate set of presets to match the way I edit already. And I'm pretty soon going to be taking this to be used, especially the macro mode. I'll talk about that sec. Going to be using this with some paid shoots and a little bit of doc work that hopefully I get a grant from Fujifilm for. But when it comes to this right here, I gotta say, man, the lens is sharp as hell. The way the lens renders micro contrast and shadow is awesome as hell. Leica lenses have this amazing quality. For most of them, I think the newer ones are super more clinical, but they're sharp, but they're not sharp. And so there's a lot of detail, but they're not harshly sharp. So they're soft, but they're detailed, and they're sharp, but they're smooth. And I don't know how to explain it, but it's one of my favorite things. It's one of the things that has actually stuck with me and why, you know, I always appreciate Leica for their glass. I may not be a huge fan of their pricing of their bodies. When it comes to their glass, there's no denying that the lens formulas that they've used for generations and the way that they create their lens formula and the way that they tell the engineers to create these things is fantastic, because the lenses stand the test of time. There's a reason why people are still buying the older generation of lenses. They're not quirky and funky in their use. What they are is they're just well built, and that's the thing, is they have a certain look, and it's not because like the 30 millimeter or 35 millimeter 1.4 from Fujifilm, it's not that kind of quirkiness about it. It's not that, you know, hey, it's got this little cool little funk to it. It's just that, you know, it has a look that is pleasing to the eye, and that's one thing that I always have to give the props to. Now, is that worth the price that I paid? Well, considering that if I was to buy this lens alone, I would be paying anywhere from 3 to 4 times the amount I paid for this body secondhand. I think right now it is. I'm still putting it through its paces, and I'm still trying to figure some things out with it. But as of right now, I'm really enjoying this. And even more, one thing I got to give a shout out to is this thing has a macro mode on it, which is very, very amazing as well. And then the autofocus on this and the autofocus tab and how you actuate it is very fun as well. I've used this quite a bit. As of right now, the past couple of days, I'm making myself take it out, which kind of upsets me because I still want to grab the X-T3 because I know how to work it. I know exactly how to shoot quick. I know I can turn off, I always turn the screen off on this, and I know with the screen off, I can just use all the dials on here to be able to manipulate the image and make what I want to make. I wish I could do that on this, but I kind of have to rely on the screen because of how limited the menu and the function system is. It's a big red flag and something that I really don't like, because coming from the X Pro 3, on all of my digital cameras, I've turned off the back screens, or I've just put the histogram and the shot information on there on every single camera that I have from Fujifilm. So this is my back screen from Fujifilm at all times now, because I don't want to look at my image. I don't want to chimp. I'm just wanting to shoot and then be done with it. With that on the Leica, I don't have that luxury because I have to have that menu system. I have to be able to press ISO and see where I'm at. It's not the same. It's not the same. And that's the best way to put it, is it's not the same. And that's one thing I'm having to learn. This isn't a Fujifilm system. This isn't a Canon. This isn't a Sony system. For a lot of people, the Leica and the workarounds with Leica are great for them because, you know, either they're using it as a hobbyist or they're in situations where they're maybe not in as much run and gun. And as someone, for me, who comes from sports primarily, where I'm pushing myself and gearing myself and even trying to wiggle myself into weddings, if Leica system, if I was doing only portraits, I could see it as being an option because it would then in turn being viable. The price would scare me away, but at the same time, when it comes to that price, this is a better bang for the buck and does the exact same thing. And again, you're looking at 24 megapixels versus 24 megapixels. And listen, I don't care if it's full frame or APS-C, they're still the same amount of megapixels. You're still getting clearly the same image resolution on both ends. I've compared them side by side. There's shots on my Instagram, one shot. You know, I'm shooting both the things. I'm zooming in. When it comes to resolution, resolution is resolution. It doesn't matter what sensor it is. So, but other than that, there's not much else to say about this camera. It's a 28 millimeter effective focal length. A lot of you guys don't like that because it's not 35 millimeters and it's not cool enough. I like that Leica chose to put a 28 millimeter. That is one thing that I will give it a huge thumbs up for. They had the balls to do this when everyone else was saying it's 35, and you have everyone on street photography YouTube saying 35 millimeter, that's the one, it's the perfect lens, it's the all-around lens. It's not. The 28 millimeter is the king of street photography, should be. It's the king of documentary. It's the king of pseudo landscapes, of pseudo environmental portraits. 28 millimeter is king, dude. And I'm glad that it's finally getting the rep that it should, because I'm telling you, this thing is beyond badass, this focal length. And when it's on this body, it feels great. It's a nice lightweight package that's small and is out of the way. And if no one knows what Leica is, it's fantastic. My favorite thing is, no one knows what an X-T3 is, so they just look at the camera and they're like, oh, that's cool, that's a cool camera, that's it. If you have the Fujifilm marker and I had the Fujifilm marker out on the GFX, someone then came up and talked to me, why don't you shoot Nikon? Why don't you? And it's like, dude, this is a medium format camera. Please get out of my face. But, you know, a lot of people, for some reason, I have not ran into one person that said, hey, what's that? What's that camera? And so that's been good for me. It's nice, it's stealth, I like the all black. I mean, it's an enjoyable camera, and I'm excited to continue to use it. I'm excited to use it in situations where I would usually use my 18f2 or my 18 1.4. So that's the thing, is when I get into more of those situations, that's when I'm going to be even more excited to see exactly what can this lens do, what can this lens do for me to make me want to keep it in my rotation. When it comes to the last thing I'm going to say about this, when it comes to a comparison to the Fujifilm camera system, I just want to say comparing Fujifilm to Leica is completely unfair to Leica. Leica is, right now, they have a higher megapixel count in some cameras, but as soon as the XH2 comes out and you have a stacked backside illuminated sensor, the funny thing about it is, for a camera that's going to be at least half of what the SL, SL2, SL2S are at their launch, it's going to be a better all-around camera for video, for photo, for live action photo, for electronic shutter, mechanical shutter. It's just a better camera system. The lenses are cheaper and just as sharp, a little bit more clinical, but at this point, when I'm shooting things professionally and paid and etc., and I'm shooting video because I'm trying to document things, I'm not looking for a certain cute look. I can do that a little bit in post. I'm looking for getting the damn shot. And it's just crazy to think that people will compare this to Leica and say that Leica's the better camera, when for anywhere from a sixth of the price to a half or a third of the price of all their cameras to comparable cameras in the system, Fujifilm tops them in all regard when it comes to everything except for right now, sensor size, which will change in a couple months in Q1 2022. Even right now, this Fujifilm camera, I would take this over an M10. Reason being is there's more bang for your buck with it, and also it actually has autofocus. I can do more with it. There's a lot of things that I'd be limiting myself if I was to get the Leica system. So I know that that's a big thing. Everyone wants to compare the X100V and the X100F to the Leica M9, M10, to the Leica Q, etc. That's just a shitty thing to compare these two because they're nowhere near the same. This is a body that is, if you're doing single shots, that's one thing. The lens is amazing, great. But when it comes to an all-around, moving around body, Fujifilm's just got it beat. There's nothing I can say, and it's me being objective. This isn't because I'm a Fujifilm fanboy. This isn't because they sent me great gear like this GFX 100S and the 45 or the 50mm 3.5 that I'm recording on right now. It's me being objective. This at full price, brand new, I still say it's the most sucker move to do, is to purchase a Leica on the new market. But if you buy them used and you're patient enough, you can get one at a really good price like I got this. You can get into the system, and if it's really what you want, you can continue to build your kit from there. But as far as that, that's it with this portion. When it comes to the giveaway, I'll go ahead and do this really quickly. I'm instead, because I gave a camera strap away to a young photographer here in San Antonio, as well as a camera bag, and as well as some filters and things like that, like some Black Pro Mist filters and some large ND filters and some whatever UV filters. So instead, I'm gonna be giving away a Peak Design leash, which uses their anchor system. Don't use it anymore because I use my own straps now. So I'm going to be giving away this Peak Design leash to one person, and I'm going to be giving away a Peak Design 5-liter sling to another person. So if you would like to win a Peak Design 5-liter sling or a Peak Design leash, let me tell you how you can win those things. They're very, very free. You don't have to do anything. All you got to do is you got to be subscribed to me and Dorian Coleman at the time of my drawing on December 11th. be subscribed to me, be subscribed to Dorian Coleman, like this video, comment on this video, and then go to Dorian's videos and like one of his videos, comment on his videos. I'm gonna be putting this through a random name generator. It's gonna be looking for the criteria. Are you subscribed to me and Dorian Coleman? Did you comment on my video? Did you comment on a Dorian video? And if you did at all, then you'll be entered into the drawing to win this. Listen, if you wanna unfollow us immediately after, I don't have a problem with it. Listen, I like to win free shit too. So this is your chance to win free shit. And I say just go for it. So again, if you want to win a Peak Design 5-liter sling or a Peak Design leash, go ahead and subscribe to me and Dorian Coleman, and at the same time like and comment on this video, and then you can go ahead and you can comment on Dorian's videos and like on his videos. For this video, when you leave your comment, just tell me how you feel about the Leica Q, tell me how you feel about Fuji, if you've ever used both, and just let me know that you're looking forward to winning a bag or the camera strap. Doesn't matter what. So that's all for the video. I hope that you enjoyed this. Again, if you're here at the end because you just wanted to check out how to win the giveaway, totally fine with me. But if you go forward to the very beginning of this video and play it at 1.5 times speed or 2 times speed, you'll get through it quicker and you'll learn a lot. So that's all for me right now. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Have a good one.